Tell you what, let's start the meeting. We'll start with the executive director's report, and then when we get a quorum, we can cover the approval of minutes. Go from there. All right, Mr.
Sure.
Kelly.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Now, we are, mentioned to you before, we're fully staffed on our agents. And generally, when I report out on some of the work we've done, I'm reporting out on a couple of hundred inspections maybe, and maybe a dozen or so significant incidents. So starting with the enforcement activity, we conducted 277 alcohol inspections last month, 436 tobacco inspections, and 436 cannabis THC inspections. And they're going to be identical almost always now from now on. And I just want to explain that for a moment. When we do an alcohol inspection or a tobacco inspection, we're target driven because we know those places possess licenses. We have a list of those licenses and we go and visit them. The idea behind the cannabis inspections is these are places, except for those that are licensed by MCA, they're not licensed. And so we don't know where they are. We don't know what the target is to find them, but we find quite often there are at many of the places that sell tobacco products as well. So when we do a tobacco inspection, we do the very obvious inspection of the tobacco products we see, and then we do a further inspection just to see if there are cannabis products in those locations. Most times they're not, but we check anyway, and we record that as an inspection for cannabis. But of those cannabis inspections we conducted within the last month, in 38 places we did find the cannabis products, and in that we are still restricted from what type of enforcement action we can take. We still are educating. So at those 38 locations, we left behind the advisory that we published a few months back to let them know what the law is, what the temporary injunction is currently, and that's subject to change, and their obligations to stay in tune with what might be happening. But that's what we have. So of the 436, 38 locations had some type of cannabis product, and we left the appropriate training documentation behind. I mentioned about the reportable incidents of all those inspections. We had 41 of them during this period of time. From that, 179,731 individual pieces of other tobacco products were seized. The tax loss relative to that was $125,000, $125,516.20. We recovered 1,718 packs of unstamped cigarettes, yielding a tax loss of $6,442.25. And I'm just going to add into that something we're starting to see with more regularity is not just the unstamped cigarettes where they're stamped from another state or have no stamp on them, but we're starting to find some now with regularity where the stamps are appear to be Maryland stamp, but they are truly counterfeit stamps, which is not something. Over the years, and I've been doing this for 21 years, over the years, we didn't have a lot of fraudulent stamps, but recently they're starting to come in as fraudulent stamps as well. So it's just an interesting little side.
What's the Maryland statute on that, Jeff?
Well, it's possession. The fact that they're counterfeit isn't what we act on. It's the fact that they're unstamped cigarettes. And so possession is a possession of like 30 or fewer cartons is something we can issue by way of citation. But if it's more than that, it's a felony charge of transporting without licenses to do such. So it varies, and it depends on the quantity as well. But where we really kind of get caught is where I guess it hurts is it's the loss of the product from the store, and then the subsequent fine if you're transporting these. If you're transporting, is $150 a carton the first time, and $300 a carton for any second and subsequent offense, and that's really a pretty significant. But here, it's possession, maybe sell or try to sell without. It's a relatively minor charge.
Gotcha.
So the hit really gets to be financial.
Gotcha.
Anything. With our alcohol inspections, we took 7 containers of distilled spirits and 408 containers of beer. And I like to always go down and give you a sense of just how broadly we are able to take these enforcement actions across the state. So these took place in Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Caroline, Charles, Dorchester, Frederick, Hartford, Montgomery, Prince George's, Somerset, Talbot, Washington, and Worcester County. So again, very broadly across the state that we're finding these violations. It's not just in one place. Give you an update on our human resources and staffing positions. We did fill our policy analyst, which was the last position that we had when we became the ATCC from additional pins we received. We filled that position on the 13th of March. And we do have one additional vacancy from an existing employee who retired in December. We conducted the first round of pre-screening interviews by way of telephone to narrow the list down a little bit. We just completed that on Tuesday, and we'll be starting the in-person interviews to make our final selection the first week of April. So hopefully by our next meeting, we will have a selection made and somebody on board or very close to on board. But we have one vacancy, which is really outstanding. And we did get some kudos from the General Assembly for having only one vacancy at this point. Legislatively speaking, we had both of our hearings for in the Senate and the House for our budget. They went extremely well. Again, the committees commented on the enthusiasm and the very positive culture that we maintain here at the ATCC. They commented on our work to keep vacancies down, to work with replacing these positions as quickly as possible. And about a week ago, the Senate issued their report in passing the budget from their perspective, and they're the ones who are moving the budget this year. They take turns each year. This year it's the Senate, next year it'll be the House. And the Senate in its comments, while they did strike money because there is a deficit this year, they did strike money from many different agencies for a variety of reasons. They took zero from us. No recommendations to cut us at all and to fund us fully. And very happy to say that the House hearing, I believe, was yesterday or today on their budget, and same thing, while they had some changes to make and some cuts to make, zero from us, leaving our budget entirely intact. The two budgets are slightly different, so it will go to conference to iron out those differences. But regarding our element of both budgets, we are left whole. So really happy to say that is one of the big elements. We certainly hope it passes both chambers. I expect it will now. But one of the big elements is some modernization in our licensing platform, our system, which it'll be bringing us into the 21st century, which will be really terrific. And I see Commissioner Wall is coming on board now, Mr. Chair. Just to make that note, it's 3:10. And the second point that I bring up is one of the handful of lawsuits that are against us currently. We refer to as the Furlong case. It's a Maryland resident and a Washington State brewery, who are suing us for not allowing them to direct ship that Washington State brewery's product to consumers in Maryland. During COVID, under executive order, and then immediately after COVID, and up till June 30th, legislatively, Maryland manufacturers were given a privilege of being able to sell directly to consumers. That ends June 30th, unless the General Assembly does something else with it. That ends. It's a sunset, so it ends just by operation of law. This lawsuit is suing me and the governor and all of you for not issuing the license or allowing this out-of-state brewery to ship directly into the state. The Attorney General who was representing us at the time filed two motions. One, just to dismiss the case, and the second one was to remove the commissioners, saying that the commissioners don't have the specific licensing authority and shouldn't be held liable. And I just got word minutes ago that the judge ruled on that element. The case is going to still move forward, but on the element of you having to be defendants in this case, or you have been removed. So that's good news, is the case against each of you has been dismissed. And lastly, just a point of our organization. As you know, the Maryland Department of Health has an ex officio position here, and it had been Dana Moncrief for some period of time. And Dana, I believe, is with us today, but she is not now the representative for MDH. It's Elizabeth Crum, who is our representative. I haven't had the opportunity to meet Elizabeth yet in great detail, but if Elizabeth, I saw you were here. If you'd like to come on camera and introduce yourself, that would be terrific.
Sure. Thank you so much. So my name is Elizabeth Crom. I'm the director of the Prevention Health Promotion Administration within the Maryland Department of Health. And so that's the areas of cancer and chronic disease, which includes tobacco and cannabis, maternal child health, environmental health, infectious disease, both the epidemiology and outbreak response side, as well as the prevention side. So grateful to be here. And I see Dana still on, and Dana's your expert in all things tobacco and will continue to be so.
Great. And as I see Elizabeth, I think we have met before, but it's been virtual. It's not been in person. So okay, we were looking to have an in-person meeting just to explain that. We were looking at that, but it kind of didn't work where we were going to have that many people. So we consulted with the chair and made an executive decision to push that off. We still have these regularly scheduled for the third meeting of each quarter. And if it works out for us, it does, that's fine. And if not, that's okay too. So Mr. Chair, with that finishes my report, and turn it back over to you.
Well, Elizabeth, welcome. Look forward to hearing from you in the future. You say Vice Chair Barbara Wall is on.
I saw her. Come on, I believe. I thought I saw her name flash up, so I believe
I saw Barbara A, but not a Barbara W.
Oh, you know what? Well,
Hear me?
yes.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. We need 4 members to have a quorum. Is that not correct? At this current time.
That is correct. And so,
Right. Because the legislation added 2 more people and the governor's not appointing anybody. So we're not going to be able to approve the minutes of February 15th. We'll do that at our next meeting. Okay. Is there any new business?
Mr. Chair, I'll just add to that, if I might, very quickly, about the 2 extra positions. There is a corrective bill in this year for cannabis to just do a whole bunch of different things. Our 2 parts of it are, 1, to let us write tickets and citations, tickets for violations since they are misdemeanors. So that's part of that corrective bill. And the second part is to bring us back to 5 appointed members from which we will have our quorum determined. So far, those are active and are moving well, and I expect that it will. So this may be a problem that fixes itself once the bill passes and becomes law.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? If not, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and we'll see you next month. Thank you.